Now that we've talked about the fundamentals of app search optimization and that it really has two segments of channels, which is organic and non-organic. And when we talk about organic, these are usually your unpaid channels. And when we talk about non-organic, these are channels that you usually need advertising spend for in order to launch campaigns and use it to boost your app downloads or app visibility. When we talk about organic, technically it isn't really unpaid, because if you're the founder of the app, you're going to pay your app marketer money in order to do keyword research and do competitor analysis. Another example is if you have an in-house designer, obviously going to have to pay those designers to create assets for you for your app store listing. Organic growth isn't exclusively unpaid. Non-organic channels, it basically equates to paid advertising, right? So the term that I use, and I think it's a relevant term which we should start using, is performance marketing. Another term for it might be media buying. That's a term you'll hear a lot of people from the US use. You can call it paid advertising. If you're in the world of programmatic, you might call it programmatic advertising or programmatic display advertising. As a general term that's relevant in this case would be performance marketing. So that's what we'll use in this video. When we talk about performance marketing, it's simply any marketing channel that requires an advertising spend or a budget in order to launch a campaign and receive results from. Apple search ads, Google ads, programmatic display advertising, even affiliate marketing falls under performance marketing. So in this video specifically, we're going to talk about Google app campaigns, which used to be called Google Universal App Campaigns or Google UAC. A lot of paid search specialists will probably call it UAC for short, but in this video, just to keep it consistent, we'll call it GAC, which is a shortened version of Google App Campaigns. So GAC is a Google Ads product or ad type that helps advertisers, in this case us the brand, help advertise our app in order to get more app visibility and really more app downloads within Google's various ad networks and ad placements. In this case, within GAC, we'll be able to deploy ad impressions within Google Search, Google Display, YouTube, Discovery, and obviously the Google Play Store, which is Google's own app store. So there's quite a lot of opportunities there within one campaign. And that's an important point to keep in mind as we move forward. Even though Google is highly correlated to Android, you would think that a Google app campaign or GAC would only show ad impressions towards Android users. That isn't the case. You set up a GAC, you will still show ad impressions for people who are using an iPhone, for example, using an iOS device. And you could even create a separate campaign targeting Apple users or iOS users. Again, another vital piece of information. Whereas in Apple search ads, you can only show ad impressions for people using an iOS device, because the only ad impression you really get from an Apple search ad is within the Apple App Store. So it's quite limited in that sense. All right, there's really only three types of objectives within a GAC. First one, which is fairly obvious, an objective based on app installs, which is to drive app installs. We also have an app engagement objective, which essentially stands for app re-engagement. These are for people who have already installed your app, and the reason you deploy this campaign is you might have a new feature or a potential release that might get a user to re-engage or reuse the app. This is perfect for that type of a strategy. And then third and finally, we have an app pre-registration objective, which is essentially a pre-order campaign, right? So if you have an app that isn't released yet, but you have a lot of marketing strategies in order to help build up its momentum to its eventual release, an app pre-registration GAC objective is appropriate for you. Usually if you're a startup, you probably wouldn't consider this campaign, but it's something to keep in mind. If you have a marketing campaign that supports that momentum, if there isn't a momentum build up for the release of the app, having a Google pre-registration objective based campaign isn't quite relevant or doesn't quite make sense. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace.